Hello and welcome to a slightly 3 minutes late edition thanks to YouTube and their inability to let me type a title the way I wanted to. Seriously, I had to do that multiple times to try and fit the information I wanted. I am your slightly perturbed and annoyed host, Blind Eye himself, Hunter King, owner and proprietor of Blind Eye Media, but we're going to have a good show this evening. Seriously, so one of the problems, so I use Streamlabs, and so I type in, so I have it connected to where it'll also post to Twitter. So I'm also having to re-edit my Twitter posts as well, which what I should have done was the first time I did the Twitter thing, I should have just copied it. And that way, that would have saved me some time. But whatever. I'm finally live. See, I wanted to wait till closer to time, so if I accidentally did the thing where I just finish and immediately go live, I wasn't, 10 minutes early or 15 minutes early or something like that. Ended up 3 minutes late. So, whatever. Thank you for being here, and for anyone tuned in after the fact, thank you very much as well. So today, we have recaps for last night's, yesterday, Thursday night's, Game 6s. Where the Miami Heat eliminated the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Mavericks forced a Game 7 by beating the Suns at home. The home team has won every game in that series. Tonight we've got Milwaukee, Boston Game 6. The road teams have done well in this series. Milwaukee is at home, though, and if it seems like Robert Williams is not going to be playing tonight for the Celtics, which is a big bummer because it's definitely affected them, especially in Game 5. If the Bucks win this without Chris Middleton, it should just be an absolute. There shouldn't be a debate right now who in my opinion, the best player is in the NBA. And MVP and best player are not the same thing. If it was the best player award, the award would have gone to Giannis Antetokounmpo. We're talking most valuable. Jokic this season definitely was the most valuable player. And then also Drew Holiday's incredible defense as well. So we'll see how that ends tonight. The Grizzlies managed to stay alive and force a Game 6. They will be going on the road to Golden State. If Golden State's offense is as bad as it's been the last two games, their defense is really going to have to step up. Because if the Grizzlies can average out between their last two games, and if John Morant's able to go in this game, although it is very doubtful, last time I checked, Grizzlies have a chance to force a Game 7. And I'll just say this. If the Grizzlies are able to force a Game 7 on the go on the road to Golden State, to the Bay Area, and win and force a Game 7 without John Morant, that'd be insane. So, these playoffs have been incredibly entertaining. And the defense has been the story of the round 2 of the playoff. It has been defensive performances. Yes, there have been some explosive offensive performances too, but arguably the job those teams did on defense in those games was far more impressive. So, with that being said, we've also got some other news we're going to get into. Of course, Jarvis Landry of the Saints, we'll talk about that. And we've got an update on Jeudy's situation that I reported on. News broke. A lot of details came out as my show was going off the air yesterday. So we will get into that as well. So let us pop that up. Go to ESPN.com. I've already looked at some of these headlines and have some articles pulled up. My camera's not in the usual spot. Okay, that's fine. That'll do. Okay, so Giannis Antetokounmpo has an MVP and all the dad jokes. Well, actually, he has back-to-back MVPs. Okay, let's see here. Mickelson pulls out of the PGA, not a shock. Daryl Morey, Rivers will be back hopefully Harden too. I don't know if I want to get into that. Like I said, Landry set to come home with Saints signing. Seems like they're trying to get back those early 10s LSU teams with the Saints. You got Tyrann Mathieu and Jarvis Landry now coming home to New Orleans. Or coming home to Louisiana, at the very least, where they both played at LSU. Let's see, Padres. All right, let's get into some of these headlines I already have sorted, and then we'll get into the scores from last night's games. Sixers. Oh, this is another bit of news. Philadelphia 76ers forward Danny Green suffered a torn ACL and LCL in season-ending loss to the Miami Heat. That's a bummer for Green, and it wouldn't shock me if that's the end of his career. Let's see. Wide receiver Jarvis Landry set to sign with the New Orleans Saints. Let's look into see if we got any contract details here. The New Orleans Saints are continuing to revamp their wide receiver core as 5-time Pro Bowl receiver Jarvis Landry is set to join the team. Landry, a former LSU star from just outside the New Orleans area, would be the second local icon to join the Saints in the past 2 weeks after they signed safety Tyrann Mathieu last week. Landry appeared to confirm his homecoming by posting a social media video Friday with highlights of himself and the team. Home, Who Dat Nation, see you soon, he posted along with the video on his Instagram post. The Saints finished last in the NFL in passing yards in 2021 because of a barrage of injuries. Michael Thomas missed the entire season. Jameis Winston missed the final 10 games with a torn ACL. But Thomas expected to return, and the Saints... made a pair of trade-up moves, or a pair of trades to move up to select Ohio State wide receiver Chris Olave with the 11th pick. Landry, 29, has 688 receptions for 7,598 yards and 37 touchdowns in 8 seasons. And if it weren't for some injuries in Cleveland, his numbers would be better. The 5'11", 196-pound receiver is likely to line up primarily in the slot as he has throughout most of his career. Adding Landry would mean the Saints will have made their 2 biggest signings in May after allowing some rare spending restraint, after showing some rare spending restraint in the first 2 months of free agency. Dadgummit, my eye. They began the year about $75 million over the salary cap. Then lost left tackle Teron Armstead, safety Marcus Williams to other teams, and safety Malcolm Jenkins to retirement. They signed former New York Jets safety Marcus May, among other minor additions. I actually don't think May is that minor of addition. This is a guy with significant starting experience at safety. Yeah, he's dealt with some injuries, I think primarily last year, but he was a really good, solid starting safety in New York. The Browns released Landry on March 14th after the sides could not agree on a restructured contract. They granted Landry permission to seek a trade after Cleveland dealt for Cowboys Pro Bowl wide receiver Amari Cooper. Landry, 29, struggled last season with a knee sprain suffered in Week 2, an injury that kept him out for 5 weeks. He finished with 52 receptions for 570 yards and 4 total touchdowns, all career lows. Which, based on his style of play, he should be a receiver that ages pretty well. He's never been a big athletic freak. He's always been a consistent, slot, short to intermediate type guy with some juice after the catch. That's a great signing for New Orleans. This was kind of, when I saw this earlier today, I thought this was interesting. And I think this is a political move by Nike. Nike unlikely to extend signature shoe deal with Kyrie Irving past 2022-23 season, sources say. This is a mistake. Irving has actually moved a lot of shoes for Nike in the past. Um, this article starts off, Nets star Kyrie Irving has long had one of Nike's most popular and profitable signature basketball shoes. But uncertainties surrounding his NBA future have left the company unlikely to extend him to a similar signature deal beyond 2022-23 season, sources told ESPN. That's a mistake. Irving was still playing really good basketball. Yeah, there's a lot going on with the Nets. The Nets never should have traded for James Harden. They should have done. I mean, never should have traded. Well, they never should have traded for James Harden in the first place. They had an awesome roster. Instead of the rotating door at center that they've had, they could have had Jarrett Allen. They could still have Karis LeVert, and they could still have. They traded a number of people. Now, what they got for Harden, they were able to bring in Seth Curry and Ben Simmons, and maybe Simmons for the future, in a new place, if he can get healthy. Maybe Simmons could be unlocked by Durant and Irving. Irving, when he was allowed to play last year, and I say allowed to play, he was really great. He had some huge games. Irving has a new edition of his shoe set to debut in the fall, but that is expected to be the final year of a lucrative signature series that he has had with Nike since 2014, sources said. Reached by ESPN, Nike did not deny the looming end to Irving's signature shoe series. We don't comment on contracts or rumors or speculation. Kyrie remains a Nike athlete. Okay. Then who is your source then? Because of... No, wait a second. It says did not deny, but this says that they don't talk about contracts and that he's still a Nike athlete. Is there something else here? That seems like some editorialization on ESPN's part here. Because of Irving's popularity, it is expected Nike will still offer some product associated with him in the future, such as retro shoes from previous collections, sources said. But as discussions between Nike and Irving about his endorsement future have commenced recently, it has become apparent his relationship with the company will change, perhaps dramatically so. The turbulence surrounding Irving, which includes the Nets' non-committal stance on negotiating a long-term contract, has included several episodes in the past 2 years. For much of the NBA season, Irving remained unvaccinated against the coronavirus, as was his right, and should have been his protected right, and inactive because of New York City mandates, which were stupid and nonsensical because you could come there from somewhere else and be unvaccinated and do whatever, but Irving couldn't. It was really weird. Eventually, the Nets changed course and allowed him to become a part-time player for road games, as they should have done from the beginning. And a change in city policy allowed him to play home games for the final stretch of the regular season and in the playoffs. Irving averaged 27.4 points in 29 games for the Nets before a 4-game sweep by the Boston Celtics in the opening round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. Yeah, that's right. He averaged 27.5 points per game over 29 games for the Nets. Irving's still one of the best players in the league, and he clearly was better than Harden this year. Irving, 30, possesses a $37 million player option with the Nets for this season, which I guarantee you he's going to pick up. In July, Irving lashed out on social media about the design of the Nike Kyrie 8 edition of his shoe, calling it trash, and insisting that I have nothing to do with the design or marketing, and that Nike plans to release it without my okay. Which seems like things are rocky between the two, right? Or the company and the player right now. Days later, Kyrie issued a statement tempering those words, but that episode certainly did little to lay the groundwork for another deal centered on his signature shoe series. I think it's once again, Nike makes all kinds of money, and there are all kinds of players. But once again, Kyrie's signature shoes, and the reason Kyrie came out and said what he did about the 8s was Kyrie's shoe brand is one of the best in freaking basketball. And people can say whatever they want about LeBron's, and obviously, LeBron's LeBron. Most of Kyrie's shoes have been, in my opinion, looked much better than LeBron's shoes over the time Irving has had a signature shoe series deal with Nike. I love Kyrie's. If I was listing my top 10 basketball shoes, after the KD 5s, I think it's the KD 5s are my favorite. It's either the 5s or the 6s. I'm a huge fan of the Kyrie 1s are great, but Kyrie has like I said, up until the 8, he's not had a bad shoe. And then you can decide for yourself on the 8s. But for the last decade, or since his deal in 2014, which is almost a decade now, they've made so much money, it just seems like you're cutting your nose off to spite your face here. And especially out of the league's point guards who have shoe designs, have their own signature shoes, Kyrie has arguably had the best ones. To me, and I'm saying guys who are listed as point guards, some of the early editions of the Currys were pretty good looking, but for me, it's been between Kyrie and Dame. Their shoes, easily the top 2 on the point guard market. So, I think that's a business mistake by Nike. But we'll see. Let's see. Oh, this is a big story because I've talked about this recently. I was really upset when this suspension came down. Los Angeles Dodgers pitcher Trevor Bauer's grievance hearing against Major League Baseball to begin May 23rd, sources say. So for people who don't know or who haven't followed my show the last couple years, whatever, last year, Trevor Bauer was falsely accused of some really bad things by a woman that I'm going to try and refrain from saying those things because YouTube apparently doesn't like those phrases. And their bots are listening up until the 2-hour mark. So, Trevor Bauer's grievance hearing against Major League... Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was going to give the background. So, he was falsely accused by a woman. Charges were not fired, and there is evidence that she lied. And that, she planned this whole conspiracy to get, money out of Bauer. And... so charges were not pressed, Major League Baseball has suspended him for, the rest of his contract with the Dodgers without pay. His contract is one of the most expensive contracts in the league over the next, 2 seasons. All of this is incredibly unfair to Bauer. So here we go. Bauer was handed a 324-game suspension on April 29th for violating MLB's domestic violence policy, which he did not violate. He did not violate. Twice the amount of the previous longest suspension since the policy was implemented in August 2015. Bauer, who has firmly denied allegations against himself by as many as... Well, and then 2 more women came out as well. I forgot about that. is the first player to appeal a suspension under the policy. Yes, because every turn, it's not just that there was no proof. Like, especially in the first case, all of it was proven to be lies. In the strongest possible terms, I deny committing any violation of the league's domestic violence and assault policy. Bauer wrote in a statement, I am appealing the action and expect to prevail. As we have throughout this process, my representatives and I respect the confidentiality of the proceedings. And this is the thing. If you are not found guilty of a crime, the league should not be able to punish you as if you are guilty. Bauer, 31, was accused by a San Diego woman who requested a restraining order that was subsequently dismissed and not given, and essentially alleged that he took, and viewer discretion advised here, mute this for your kids starting now, requested a restraining order and essentially alleged that he took consensual rough sex too far over the course of 2 encounters last April and May. Okay. Safe now. Well, I guess you wouldn't hear me if you muted it. A loss that 2 encounters last April and May, which there are text messages that he used to prove that this was wrong. A Los Angeles judge denied the woman a permanent restraining order in August, and the LA County District Attorney's Office declined to file criminal charges against Bauer in February. Because at every turn, there was no evidence of misconduct by Bauer. And this is the system we live in. If there is no evidence, you don't even press charges, let alone convict people. And if people aren't convicted, they're not guilty of anything by law. So your employer should not be able to come after you like the Major League Baseball should not be able to suspend him on these grounds. There's no grounds for it. Hours after MLB's suspension was announced, the Washington Post published an interview with a woman from Columbus, Ohio, who accused the pitcher of... I would, once again, if you got kids with you, mute this for until I fake clap or something. Because I am going to read this. So I'd start that now. The Washington Post published an interview with a woman from Columbus, Ohio, who accused the pitcher of choking her unconscious without her consent dozens of times during a years-long relationship that began in 2013. She became the third known woman to accuse Bauer of assault and speak with league investigators about it following another Ohio woman who sought a temporary restraining order against Bauer in June 2020, according to the Post. So, now notice all this stuff from 2020. That woman's claims a years-long relationship going back to 2013, where, he did something multiple times. And this is my problem. Then, if it was such a bad thing at any of those times, why did you not, this is what drives me nuts, and what drives good men nuts. Men who would not do this stuff. People like me on the outside who want to see monsters treated like monsters. I'm not going to get into the weird proclivities of people in their relationships that's not what I want to do on this channel. What I do want to say is, if something is happening to you, and this is like man or woman, whatever, and it's to a point of illegality and abuse, or worse, go to authorities immediately. Because I'm sorry, like, once you've sat on something for 10 years, like, to me, especially in the current climate with as many false allegations, and with so many, like, not just athletes and entertainers, but just normal people, and just the personal amount of false allegations I have witnessed against people, one of which I was I made a statement on, because I was with that person the whole night, and I believe I've talked about that on the channel before, just not in super detail, but I've described it. This all to me, it just seems like going after a guy who has money. It's predatory. Is the way it comes across to me. And once again, I read this. Hours after MLB's suspension was announced, the Washington Post then published an interview with a woman from Columbus, Ohio, who had accused him. The woman I was talking about, or who I've read out of this, had a years-long relationship that began in 2013. That doesn't seem like a coincidence. That almost seems coordinated between Major League Baseball and the Washington Post. Very interesting timing. That, especially considering, in February, the accuser who went to court with him for the San Diego woman in LA County court, all of that stuff got thrown out. All of a sudden, now we've got some new people. It just, to me, that seems really convenient. Major League Baseball, which has the autonomy to suspend players without a criminal conviction, which I don't like, and I think that's ridiculous, did not reveal the findings of its investigation. Of course not. Of course they wouldn't. Or specify how many accusers it spoke with throughout the reports, or throughout the process. Because of course it wouldn't. Because if we knew what they were going off of, we would be shocked and appalled that he's been suspended. Or we'd be shocked and appalled that Major League Baseball didn't do something sooner. It's one of the two. Major League Baseball does that to protect themselves. Has nothing to do with the victims, has nothing to do with the person being, suspended. The mechanism of the grievance hearing will be similar to those that have previously taken place for other matters. The most notable recent examples being the PD suspensions of Alex Rodriguez and Ryan Braun. Which means, and this is my problem with Major League Sports and the way that players go about fighting suspensions and potential wrongful suspensions. They actually don't this whole process. They're not going to win. They always lose. Every single time. If you have to arbitrate a suspension with your sports league, you've already lost before you went in, because these are the same people who suspended you. And to be completely honest, I find it to be an unconstitutional process. A third-party arbitrator hired by both the Major League Baseball and Major League Baseball's Players Association, in this case, Marty Sheeman, which I guess Major League Baseball does it a little bit different than the NFL then. But still, will review the findings and preside over a hearing that could see witnesses testify and might extend over several months, which this is totally unfair to Bauer as he loses money and prime year of his career to this. This should have happened in the offseason. Major League Baseball should have done this in a timely manner. And upon him appealing, just like in real life, he shouldn't be suspended during this. The arbitrator will decide whether Bauer's suspension will be denied, upheld, or reduced. Let's see if this appeal actually does pause his suspension, though, but I don't think it does. The grievance process, which could take place in person or virtually, might play out over several weeks or even months, depending on Sheeman's availability and the extent of each side's case. Sheeman or Schymans, however you pronounce that, will technically serve as the head of a 3-person arbitration panel, along with someone appointed by Major League Baseball and another person appointed by the MLBPA. But Sheeman will ultimately make the final ruling, given that the Major League Baseball and Major League Baseball Player Association representatives will likely cast votes that will cancel one another out. I actually don't believe that in this case, because I don't necessarily believe the Major League Baseball Players Association is actually keen on helping or actually doing its job for Bauer. The Dodgers signed Bauer to a 3-year, $102 million contract in February of 2021 on the heels of him winning the National League Cy Young Award as a member of the Cincinnati Reds during the COVID-19 shortened 2020 season, and he was freaking awesome. But he was placed on administrative leave midway through the first year of his contract and remained there while receiving his full salary until the league decided on to suspend him 3 weeks into the 2021 season. I think they mean 2022 season. That would be the 2022 season there. That was it's a typo. Because Bauer did not agree to the suspension, the games he served on administrative leave won't count towards time served. If his suspension is upheld, Bauer won't be eligible to return until the 19th game of the 2024 season. Bauer will remain on the restricted list for the length of his suspension and then would not be allowed to pursue opportunities to pitch in another country. Under his current suspension, the Dodgers would save roughly $60 million. Yeah. I think I think this whole ordeal for Bauer is ridiculous because once again, you are convicted not by a court, not by facts. You are convicted by social pressure and the political alignings, the political and social ambitions of your company that you work for. That's what happened here. And that's my problem. That's my issue here. Like, once again, I want monsters put down. I want monsters put in cages. But if you can't prove to me he's a monster, I can't do anything. We can't do anything, and we shouldn't do anything. The whole point of our system of governance, our system of justice, is that we would rather a guilty person go free than an innocent person be unfairly persecuted, unfairly convicted, unfairly stripped of their freedoms. Heck, we'd actually rather 10 guilty people go free than one innocent person get locked up. That's how our system works. And it really drives me nuts. It just really drives me nuts that this is how people are treated or at the very least, this is how men are treated in our system. That being said, let us get into those NBA playoff scores from last night. Which I think one of those games is probably already tipped off for tonight. Well, I would have seen it there probably, actually, if I'd been paying attention. So, once again, I mean, home teams just dominating in the postseason. We'll start with the Heat eliminating the Sixers. Another amazing defensive performance from the Heat. And once again, you look at the box score just to kind of go over the way this game started. Miami started off came out of the first quarter with a 3-point lead, went into halftime with a 1-point lead. Outscored Philadelphia by 10 in the third quarter. So they go into the fourth quarter with an 11-point lead, and Philly outscores them by 2 eventually in the fourth. But Miami really dominated this game. Anybody who watched the game, and like for everyone who watched the game, Miami dominated the second half. Philadelphia really had no chance. That 9-point score makes the game kind of seem a little closer than it really was. Jimmy Butler decided this is the Jimmy Butler game, and I'm going to take 29 shots. Made 13, not terrible. 2 of 6 from 3, 4 of 6 from the line. 8 rebounds, 2 of those offensive rebounds. 4 assists, a steal, 2 blocks, 2 turnovers, 32 points. No fouls. He was plus 16. The Sixers bench actually did pretty well in this game. PJ Tucker in 30, and Butler played 43 minutes. PJ Tucker in 39 minutes was 6 of 9 from the field. He missed both his threes. He had 9 rebounds, 4 on the offensive end. And once again, offensive rebounding, really helpful to have in the playoffs, especially in defensive dominated series. 1 assist, 2 blocks, 12 points, 2 fouls, plus 13. Adebayo, once again embracing the dirty work. 34 minutes, 5 of 5 from the field, 8 rebounds, 1 offensive, 2 steals, a block, 3 turnovers, 2 fouls, 10 points. He's plus 20. And again, no assists. Why? Because they're trying to keep Embiid away from the ball as much as possible. One thing that has always been, or one of the big things with Miami's offense, is Adebayo with the ball, running handoffs and playmaking as well. Well, they've done a great job in this series of keeping the ball away from Embiid. Adebayo has embraced an off-ball role. Gabe Vincent in 27 minutes. 3 of 8, 1 of 4 from 3. 2 rebounds, 6 assists, a steal, 4 turnovers, a foul, 7 points. He was plus 11. And Max Struss, who has been like one of the breakout players of the playoffs, 40 minutes, 6 of 14 from the field. 4 of 10 from 3, 4 of 5 from the 3-point line, 11 rebounds, 3 offensive, 5 assists, 2 turnovers, 2 fouls, 20 points. He was plus 23. Which, I mean, just to put it in perspective, he only missed 8 minutes of this game. In those 8 minutes that he was not on the court, Miami was minus 14 in his minutes not on the court. All right. Off the bench, Caleb Martin only played 5 minutes in this game. All he did was, he played solid defense. I mean, a block, a steal, and a rebound. But he was minus 9 in his 5 minutes. Dwayne Dedmon in 12 minutes. He was 2 of 4 from the field. Missed his only 3-point attempt. 3 rebounds, 2 of those offensive rebounds. He had a foul, 4 points. He was minus 7. Tyler Hero played 16 minutes. 5 of 12 from the field. Missed both of his threes. He had 3 rebounds, 1 offensive, and assist, a steal, 10 points. He was minus 6. crazy how Struss and Gabe Vincent both playing more minutes than Hero. Same with Oladipo in this game. Oladipo played 20 minutes. He was 2 of 5 from the field, missed both of his threes. 4 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, 3 fouls, a turnover, 4 points. He was minus 14. And in 4 minutes, Duncan Robinson missed his only 3-point attempt, had a foul. He was minus 2, no points. They just, and they really believe in the momentum they built with their rotation this way. I think it's really interesting. Miami did not shoot great in this game, obviously. Now, they were 48.8% from the field, which is not bad. But they only shot 11 free throws, making 8, and they were 7 of 28 from 3. Their outside shooting was pretty bad in this game. But it was enough. Because the Sixers were bad. Tobias Harris was 6 of 13 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3. He had 8 rebounds, 1 offensive, an assist, a steal, 2 blocks, a turnover, no fouls, 14 points. He was minus 17. He had no free throw attempts in the game, but shooting-wise, a fairly efficient night for Tobias. He was 50% from inside the arc and 40% from 3. Not bad. 3 stocks on the game, steals plus blocks. Only 1 turnover, no fouls. Solid rebounding. Decent game from him, but Danny Green, of course, gets injured 3 minutes into the game, tearing his ACL and LCL. Made his only shot attempt, which was a 3. Had a steal and a foul. He was even across those 3 minutes with 3 points. Joel Embiid played, and this is the crazy thing, Harris played 38 minutes. Embiid plays 44 minutes. Maxey 42. Harden 43. Embiid was 7 for 24. 2 of 8 from 3. He hit all 4 of his free throw attempts. He had 12 rebounds, 4 offensive, 2 assists, a block, 2 turnovers, 3 fouls, 20 points. He was minus 6 in his 44 minutes. When you are if your best player plays 44 minutes and you're negative, it's usually not good for you. In the 4 minutes that he wasn't on the court, they're minus 3. Tyrese Maxey played 42 minutes. He was 9 of 22 from the field, 1 of 7 from 3, 1 of 1 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 1 offensive board out of those, 4 assists, a block, 4 turnovers, 4 fouls, 20 points. He was minus 24. James Harden, once again, shrinking away from the moment. 4 of 9 from the field, 3 of 7 from 3. His shooting number's not awful from an efficiency standpoint, but you're a max player and you shot 9 times. And maybe, and I will say, Miami's defense was amazing. They were able to triple team him and Embiid and either force them to take, into bad shots, or were able to get some blocks. They forced the ball into Harden's hands. But Harden, 4 rebounds, 9 assists, a steal, 4 turnovers, 2 fouls, 11 points, minus 16. You look at the 9 assists, and that's not bad. The shooting efficiency numbers aren't bad either, but at some point, you'd think the elite player is going to try and take over the game when, everything else wasn't working, and it never happened. Georges Niang in 15 minutes, 0 of 1 from 3, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 turnovers, a foul, 0 points, but he was plus 11 in his 15 minutes, interestingly enough. Paul Reed only played 4 minutes in this game. Was minus 3 in those minutes with a foul and a steal. I feel like they didn't really play him enough, considering he's been one of their better players in the series. Matisse Thybulle played 12 minutes, was 1 of 4 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3, made his only free throw, had 2 steals and a block, 2 fouls, 3 points. He was minus 15. Shake Milton played 28 8 minutes in this game and was really effective offensively. 6 of 8 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3, missed his only free throw, had 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals and a block, 15 points, only 1 foul, no turnovers, was plus 6 on the night. Makes you wonder if they should have played him a little more because he was on it. Furkan Korkmaz, just what a name. 8 minutes, 1 of 3 from the field, missed his only 3-point attempt, had 2 rebounds, scored 2 points, was plus 9 though, with 1 foul. And then Isaiah Joe and Jaden Springer, their 2 rookies, both got on the court for a minute. Joe somehow managed to put up 2 shots, missed a 3, and made a interior bucket. Snagged a rebound. They were both plus 5. And, of course, Paul Millsap, DeAndre Jordan didn't play in this game. Once again, one of these just interesting games. So the Sixers made 6. They attempted the same number of shots as the Heat, 87 apiece. They made 6 fewer shots. They made up some of that by being 12 of 37 from 3. They shot 32.4%, but they also just not a lot of free throws in this game. Refs really let both teams play. The Sixers were 6 of 7 on their free throws, but just a heck of a defensive game from both teams. But the Heat were just slightly better. Despite the fact that the Sixers, yes, Danny Green eventually got hurt, but the Heat are without Kyle Lowry. Duncan Robinson, who's been so important to them, barely playing. Tyler Hero in this game only managed 16 minutes and wasn't amazing. The Heat are fascinating. They operate different than pretty much any team in the league. I think one of the reasons I'm so attached to our Grizzlies team is I feel like we're doing things kind of similarly to Miami. Really impressive. So Miami, the first team to book their date into the conference finals. On the west side of the bracket, the Mavs have forced a Game 7 in Phoenix after getting plastered by Phoenix, come out and beat them by 27. The home team's really doing well. Until the Heat won that Game 6 in Philly, every game had been won by the home team in that series. Every home game's been won by the home team in this series. And this game, there was not a single quarter where Dallas did not outscore Phoenix for the quarter. And the fourth quarter really slowed down. 28-25 first quarter, 32-20 in the second, 34-27 in the third, and then 19-14 in the fourth. But let's see what happened with the Suns. I did not watch this game. Jay Crowder, 29 minutes. He was 2 of 4 from the field, made his only 3-point attempt, 4 of 4 from the line. He was -7 with 9 points. He had 5 fouls. I'm going to be quicker with this. Michael Bridges, a fairly ineffective game from him offensively, 31 minutes. He was 2 of 7 from the field, 1 of 1 from 3. It seems like the Mavs really clamped down on the 3-point lines, trying to keep shooters from getting open shots. Bridges was 2 of 2 from the line. He had 5 rebounds, 1 offensive, 5 assists, a block, 2 turnovers, a foul, 7 points. He was -18. DeAndre Ayton in 30 minutes was 10 of 16 from the field, 1 of 4 from the line, had 11 rebounds, 2 offensive, 1 assist, 2 turnovers, 3 fouls, 21 points. He was -16. Chris Paul didn't shoot a lot in this game, 4 of 7, 3 of 5 from 3, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 2 rebounds, 1 offensive, 4 assists, 2 steals. He had 5 turnovers, 5 fouls, and 13 points. He was -14. Very uncharacteristically sloppy and foul-prone game for Paul. Devin Booker, 6 of 17 in 39 minutes, 0 of 4 from 3. He made all 7 of his free throws. He had 8 rebounds, 2 offensive, 3 assists, a steal, a block, 8 turnovers, 4 fouls, 19 points, minus 19. I'm going to skip over some of like the couple guys who had smaller minutes totals. Torrey Craig played 15 minutes, 3 of 6 from the field, missed both his threes, 4 rebounds. He was minus 6 with 2 fouls, 6 points. 20 minutes of Cam Johnson, 1 of 5, 1 of 3 from 3, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 1 offensive, and assist. He had 5 points. He was minus 14. Bismack Biyombo played 14 minutes in this game, 2 of 4 from the field, 2 offensive rebounds, 3 total, 2 fouls, 4 points, minus 13. Cam Payne only played 4 minutes in this game. Same with Isaiah Wainwright. They were both minus 7. I'm guessing that was towards the end of the fourth quarter, maybe. Landry Shamet played 17 minutes, 1 of 6 from the field. Missed his only 3. 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 turnovers, 2 fouls, 2 points, minus 14. Just brutal. 31 of 78 from the field. That's a 39.7% field goal percentage. You're not winning with that. 6 of 18 from 3. 18 to 21 from the line. All of their free throw misses. No one missed a free throw for them this game except for DeAndre Ayton. On the other side for the Mavs, 25 minutes from Dorian Finney-Smith. 1 of 4 shooting, 1 of 3 from 3, 1 of 2 from the free throw line. 5 rebounds, an assist, a steal. 5 fouls, 4 points. He was plus 19. Reggie Bullock played 40 minutes in this game. 7 of 15, 5 of 11 from 3. 7 rebounds, 3 offensive rebounds, 2 steals, 19 points, plus 15 with only 2 fouls, no turnovers. Bullock with one of the best games of his career. Dwight Powell, 17 minutes, 2 of 2 from the field, 4 of 6 from the line, 3 rebounds, 1 offensive rebound, 2 blocks, 8 points, 3 fouls, plus 11. Jalen Brunson, 35 minutes, 6 of 14 from the field, missed all 3 of his threes, 6 of 6 from the free throw line. Holy crap, they got a lot of free throws. Brunson and Doncic alone combined for almost as many free throw attempts as the entire Suns team. They had 20 compared to the Suns' 21. If you throw Powell in there, those 3 guys alone had more free throw attempts by 5. That's kind of ridiculous. Anyway, Brunson, 6 of 6 from the line. He had a rebound, 2 assists, 3 steals, no turnovers or fouls, 18 points, plus 24. Doncic was plus 15 in 35 minutes. 11 of 26 from the field, 2 of 8 from 3, 9 of 14 from the free throw line. He had 11 rebounds, 1 offensive, 8 assists, 4 steals, a turnover, 4 fouls, and 33 points. Maxi Kleber bounces back with a really good game. 25 minutes, 3 of 6 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3, 4 rebounds, 1 offensive, 2 assists, 1 turnover, 4 fouls, 9 points. He was plus 11. Davis Bertans only played 8 minutes. 3 of 4 from the line. Missed his only shot attempt, which was a 3. Had a rebound, 3 points. He was minus 1. Let's see. Bunch of guys with like 3 or less minutes. Who cares? Spencer Dinwiddie played 21 minutes. He was 5 of 7 from the field. All of those were 3-point attempts. So he's 5 of 7 from 3. A rebound, 3 assists, a steal, 2 turnovers, 1 foul, 15 points. He was plus 2. And then in 21 minutes, Frank Ntilikina shot once, missed it. It was a 3. So, of course, he missed it. 1 rebound, 2 assists, 4 steals, a block, 2 turnovers, 4 fouls, no points, but he was plus 9. So, kind of crazy. Dallas only made 35 shots in this game. And they only took 77. They actually won this game taking less shots than the Suns. Like, they took one fewer shot than the Suns and outscored them by 27 points. That is really hard to do. But it's pretty easy to do in the context of you hit 16 of 39 three-point attempts. So you're getting more points per shot. They made 10 more threes out of their shot attempts. They also shot 20 more times from three, so that also helps. They're 41% from there, 45.5% shooting, 75% shooting from the line, but when you get 36 free throw attempts and you make 27, that really helps. Like, they outscored the Suns by 9 from the free throw line, despite shooting a worse percentage because they got 15 more free throw attempts. But the Suns really didn't. The Suns really came out flat. But I mean, that's been the road team in pretty much the last 4 games of the series anyway. Or pretty much every game of this series. Like, the road team has come out really flat. So this will go to a Game 7 in Phoenix. I'm expecting Phoenix to win because the home team's won every game, and the role players tend to play better at home. And this was Phoenix's worst game of the series, in my opinion, pretty easily. So I think they're going to bounce back. And then, of course, we've got and Bucks Celtics has tipped off. This is Game 6. Milwaukee leads the series. They are at home, but the road team has won the last 2 games, I think. Or should I say, the Bucks and Celtics split games 1 and 2 in Boston. They split games 1 and 2 in Milwaukee. And then Milwaukee beat Boston at home. The road team has actually been the more effective team in this series. So that'll be interesting to see. Okay. And then Grizzlies Warriors Game 6 will tip off at 9 p.m. Central. That is ridiculously late. Come on. I get it's a home game for Golden State, but even there, they're getting a 7 p.m. tip off. That game's starting late. I have no idea. Going into this Bucks Celtics series, I kind of thought the Celtics were going to win, especially with Chris Middleton out injured. But I mean, Giannis has been so freaking good, and the Bucks defense has been really good. So, or at least in their wins, they've been really good, especially in crunch time. So, let's see here. Let's go to the NFL page because there's one more story I would like to cover here. Let's see. Oh, there was a trade today. The Raiders have traded wide receiver Bryan Edwards to the Falcons, which I think is really interesting and should help the Falcons receiving core further. Panthers quarterback Matt Corral chipped bigger after draft slip. Well, that's going to be interesting. I wouldn't be shocked if Matt Corral ends up winning that starting job this offseason. But I do think he's got a climb to get NFL ready. Titans Willis has no issue with Tannehill's comments, as speaking of Ryan Tannehill saying it's not my job to be a mentor. He also did say, if you learn stuff from him in the quarterback room, but there's a difference between, working in the room with someone and being the guy's uncle figure, if you will. And then this is the story I want to cover. So we'll end with the Jeudy thing, and then after we talk about this trade. So Las Vegas Raiders trade wide receiver Bryan Edwards and a 7th-round pick to Atlanta for a 5th-round pick in 2023. Edwards was a former 3rd-round pick by the Raiders. I believe, was it 2020 or was it 2019? Oh, and a conditional 7th-round pick for a 5th-round selection. I guess maybe if Edwards plays well, yeah, I don't know. We'll see if it goes in that condition. Edwards, 23, has 45 catches for 764 yards and 4 touchdowns in 28 career games, 15 starts since being selected by the Raiders in the 3rd round of the 2020 NFL Draft. So he's going into year 3 of his 4-year rookie deal. Las Vegas, under the direction of new general manager Dave Ziegler and new coach Josh McDaniels, saw Edwards as expendable after acquiring 2-time All-Pro wideout Devontae Adams in March to join Pro Bowler Hunter Renfrow. The team also signed Mac Hollins, Demarcus Robinson, and Keelan Cole in free agency as part of the overhaul of the wide receiver room. And Keelan Cole was a recent addition in the last couple days. Let's see here. Cole on Thursday signed a 1-year, $1.2675. So $1,270,000 deal with Las Vegas that included a $150,000 signing bonus, a source told ESPN's Field Yates. With the departure of Edwards, the Raiders now have just 2 of their 7 picks from the 2020 draft still on the roster. Offensive lineman John Simpson, a 4th-round pick who started all 17 games at left guard last season, and cornerback Amik Robertson, who was taken 30 picks after Simpson and later has started 2 of 18 career games. He's kind of a slot corner. He's a guy I thought would develop into a pretty good slot corner. Hasn't broken through yet necessarily, or hasn't really taken a hold of that opportunity. First rounders Henry Ruggs III, who was, until he made a really bad decision, actually, like last year, he started off the season on a tear and looked like in year 2, like, they absolutely actually hit on a first round pick for once. And then Damon Arnett, who they were both cut. Arnett has his own legal troubles because that got him cut from a second team. I believe it was the Chiefs. Lynn Bowden, who was taken 1 spot after Edwards, was traded before playing in a regular season game. Like, he was traded before the regular season of the year he was drafted to the Dolphins for a pick. I'm trying to remember if it was like a 5th or a 6th-round pick. He was drafted in the 3rd round. Traded to the Dolphins, by the way. And Tanner Muse, who was drafted 19 picks after Bowden, spent his... because I believe it's Bowden and not Bowden in his case. Spent his rookie season on injured reserve and was released before playing a game. He's been playing as more of a linebacker, I think, kind of since then. The Falcons, meanwhile, needed to add to their receiver depth after drafting Drake London with the 8th overall pick last month. Edwards could end up being number 2 on the depth chart, as Alden Tate and Olamide Zaccheaus are their most experienced receivers. And Tate was never more than like the 4th or 5th receiver really on the Bengals depth chart. Like, he was a backup outside receiver. He's a big-bodied receiver. But I believe Tate is like a full 6'5". And then Zaccheaus, he's a slot guy. Like, he's an interior receiver. He's Edwards' profile is really good as a secondary, kind of the same way Tate and London are. The same type of, and to the same degree, Kyle Pitts, big-bodied, strong receiver who can win over the middle and down the field in contested catch situations. Like, Edwards has amazing hands and body control. He was one of my favorite players in the 2020 draft. At like value-wise, I thought getting him in the third round was really good. He was coming off an injury. So, Atlanta in the past 2 years traded Julio Jones to Tennessee, had Calvin Ridley suspended indefinitely for gambling, and lost Russell Gage in free agency to Tampa Bay. The Falcons also have one of the tallest groups of pass catchers in the NFL. Kyle Pitts 6'6", London is 6'5", running back Cordarrelle Patterson 6'2", Tate is 6'5", and Edwards is 6'3". Some places have London rated or at 6'4". I think the Falcons even, like, when they put out their little release, or maybe it was Pro Football Focus had them listed at 6'4", but either way, 6'4", 6'5". Like, this is a big group of pass catchers. In corresponding roster moves, the Falcons released cornerback Kendall Sheffield and tight end Ryan Becker. Not shocked that Becker got cut. Kind of a little shocked Sheffield got cut this early. All right, and then final story. We've got Denver Broncos wide receiver Jeudy's girlfriend asked for misdemeanor case to be dismissed. Wow, man, so much is going on here. So yesterday, there was, like, he had been arrested, and then I got off of my show and I looked down at my phone, and a buddy of mine had texted it. There had been an update to the story, or to the what had happened, well, I know this will get into it. So, the girlfriend of Denver Broncos wide receiver Jeudy, who asked a judge on Friday to dismiss a misdemeanor case against him stemming from a dispute between them. The woman, who has a 1 month old child with Jeudy, told Judge Chantel Contaguglia that she did not feel threatened during the incident and made contact with authorities to monitor the situation. Jeudy, 23, was arrested Thursday at the couple's suburban Denver home after his girlfriend reported that he had locked some of her belongings and items for the baby in his car, preventing her from returning to Virginia, which is where she's from. I guess she was going to visit family, whatever. He was arrested on suspicion of second-degree criminal tampering with a domestic violence enhancer, meaning that this tampering was enhanced because it had to do with potentially domestic violence. Once again, suspected, like, under suspicion of. This whole story to me seems like overreach. We'll get into it. A misdemeanor. And had to spend the night in jail until he could appeal before a judge because of the enhancer. That's the other thing. If that enhancer hadn't been on there, he wouldn't have had to stay the overnight in jail. Contaguglia did not immediately decide what should happen with the case. Of course not. But allowed Jeudy to be released from jail and allowed him to travel. Terry Combs, a spokesperson for the 18th Judicial District Attorney's Office, said Friday the case remains open, with Jeudy scheduled to appear next for a hearing, to enter a plea on May 31st, which he absolutely should plead not guilty. After the hearing, Jeudy's lawyer, Harvey Steinberg, said Jeudy did not do anything that amounted to a crime, and the domestic violence label should not have been applied to his case since there was no violence or attempt at violence, according to both parties. Bad things happen to good people, and that's what this case is, Steinberg said. Authorities have said there were no allegation of any physical violence. However, under Colorado law, domestic violence can include any crime committed against an intimate partner or their property that is used to intimidate, coerce, or seek revenge against them. The law also requires police to arrest anyone they suspect committed such a crime. Which, in this case, and if they get into the details here, if they're going to extend that logic to Jeudy, they should have also extended it to his girlfriend. And we'll get into that. Preventing a partner from having access to money, personal belongings, or medication to try and control them or keep them from leaving are some examples of other kinds of domestic violence, said Roshan Kalantar, Associate Director of Violence Free Colorado, the state's domestic violence coalition. Okay, and once again, that same thing that they're putting here can be applied the other direction as well in this case. Let's see. Man, they're really deciding not to talk about what happened. Mandatory arrest laws developed because of concerns in the past that police were downplaying the danger of domestic abuse or feeling powerless to arrest a suspect if the victim denied abuse out of fear. Well, I mean, once again, like, isn't that on the victim? Like, I mean, I hate to put it that way, but like, I thought we were a personal response. Like, I don't know. That's just tough. I don't like the idea that police can just infer and decide to arrest someone on behalf of someone, even if that person doesn't want the other person arrested. I don't know. This is weird. Kalantar said, however, she acknowledged that some domestic violence survivors do not want an arrest, which can lead to more violence against them later. Once again, this is painting this way more serious than this is. Broncos first-year head coach Nathaniel Hackett said after the first day of rookie minicamp, or the first day of rookie minicamp Friday, that he met with Jeudy following his release from jail, and we're going to move forward from this, and we're going to learn from it as a team. Dude, I hate that kind of stupid speech. Wow, they don't even get into the incident at all. Hackett demurred when asked if Jeudy would face any team discipline. You know, we'll look into all that stuff and make sure we do the right stuff. We're here to support him and move on from this. Okay, so since ESPN's going to be dishonest and not actually talk about the situation, I will. And that's how we're going to end the show. So here's what happened to Jerry Jeudy. As I understand it, based on reading multiple different reports, Jerry Jeudy and his girlfriend was going back to Virginia, and so Jerry Jeudy has multiple phones. Apparently, he has 3 phones. One is his personal phone. One is a business phone, and I think the other is like a backup, or for some other type of business. But he has multiple phones. Well, she took one of these phones and was going to attempt to, I guess, leave with that phone or whatever. And so this is where this stuff gets kind of interesting. She had stuff in his vehicle, including her wallet and medical information for the baby and some baby formula. People have talked about like he stole baby formula, and that's not like the baby was in no danger in this. And the girlfriend has also said same. Like there was no threat to her or the baby. They just had an argument, and she, as she says, she overreacted. She said he never threatened me. He did everything he did because he like. And she's even kind of... Anyway. So she testified she was never under threat. There was never any threat of physical violence. Jerry, what he did was he locked these things in a car. She couldn't access them. She's trying to go home to Virginia. Like, they're two young people in their early 20s who got into a dispute and involved the police. And she involved the police probably for no reason. Or at the very least, if she did, she should be held just as responsible because the idea here, as ESPN's article lined out, because I don't want to come off and like as someone who thinks domestic disputes or taking other people's things is okay. It's not. I hate thievery. And if you are in an actual physically or like a problem, like you're in a situation, I want to say this: if you're in a situation where you're being physically threatened or abused, please go to the police and seek and get the authorities involved and be completely honest as quickly as possible. But in this case, like, she's come out and said, like, the charges against him are way overblown. She thieved first. ESPN's article, listed, well, if you're taking someone in order to coerce them, well, why was she taking something from him? Like, I mean, it seems like instead of trying to to avoid a physical confrontation and try to physically take the phone from her and do something potentially stupid, he instead just locks his card that he knows had stuff in it that she needed. Or whatever. I don't know. Like, it seems like rather than, like, be a violent jerk, he said two could play at this game. Like, this just seems like this seems like a petty argument that, once again, your local government decides, yeah, we're going to overblow this situation because we're idiots. Like, this is the thing with, like, and law enforcement are put in tough situations. There's no reason anyone should have been arrested here. Period. Like, Jeudy, went with officials. He didn't resist. He didn't do anything. Like, he complied. So, I don't know. This seems really stupid. And I really hope he doesn't end up with some stupid suspension from the NFL over this. And the court better drop this stupid case and these stupid charges. Now, I could, 6 months from now when something else happens with these two, maybe I'll be the one looking stupid. But, I've been following this the last 24 hours, and it just, to me, reeks of, oh great, the government got involved and is doing more harm than actual good. So, anyway, that's the show for today. I hope y'all have a great weekend. Probably won't stream over the weekend. We're probably going to end up... It'll be interesting to see if we have our Eastern Conference Finals set up after tonight. If that happens, I might stream tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. No. I don't know when I'd have time to stream tomorrow anyway. We'll see, but I probably won't be back till Monday. But anyway, we should, by the end of the weekend, though, have, like... I think by the end of Monday, we'll have, like, everything taken care of, I think, because... today's Friday? So we should have Suns-Mavs Game 7 tomorrow. And then if Celtics, Bucks, and Grizzlies, Warriors go to Game 7s, those would be on Sunday. So we shall see. We'll have the conference finals decided, like who's in it by the time we get to the Monday show, and then and we'll also rookie mini camps will be over as well, I think, Monday. So we might have some takeaways from that. Oh, that is one little bit of news before I leave. For Titans fans, Treylon Burks came back and left again at the first day of rookie minicamp. Apparently, Treylon Burks has asthma. And he, in the 90-degree heat at the training facility in Nashville, he had to, stop work early. So that's interesting. it didn't affect him on the field in the Southeastern Conference last year. So we'll see. And it could be a number of issues going on. Like, it's also spring. He could be dealing with allergies, and that could be causing his asthma to flare up. But hopefully that's not an issue come football time. Because I'm going to be honest, that's a lung, like a breathing issue is definitely a concern. So with that being said, that's the show for today. Hope you all have a great weekend. I'll catch you on Monday.